What if I told you that relaxing, not hustling, is the real key to manifesting everything you desire? Have you ever felt like there's a quiet but constant tension inside you between where you are right now and where you wish you were? Maybe it's a career you haven't started, a relationship you're hoping for, or simply a more peaceful version of yourself you've been longing to become. It's that invisible gap between the present and the possible that so many of us live in. And sometimes it feels like no matter how hard we try, that future we're chasing stays just one step out of reach. But what if I told you that the power to close that gap is already within you? Not through hustle or control, but through alignment, through intention, through clarity and calm. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I met a man named Alex. He was a musician, deeply gifted, the kind of person whose songs could quiet a room. But despite his talent, Alex was stuck. No audience, no recognition, just late nights with his guitar and the nagging feeling that he might never be seen. One evening, as we sat on his porch with his guitar in hand, he told me something I'll never forget. He said, "It feels like I'm shouting into a void. My music matters, but no one hears it." And I understood, not just his words, but the ache behind them. That night, instead of giving him advice, I offered him something simpler, a different perspective. I introduced him to the idea that manifestation isn't about forcing things to happen. It's about becoming the person who aligns with what you desire. We talked about intention, visualization, emotional presence, not just thinking positively, but living in a way that made space for what he wanted most. At first, he brushed it off. "Sounds like wishful thinking," he said. But slowly he opened up to it. He started visualizing himself on stage. Not just once, but every day. He set small intentions, not to control outcomes, but to embody the feeling of success, of connection, of worthiness. Months passed. Then one day, I got a text from Alex. It was a photo, him on stage, guitar in hand, lit by a warm spotlight, a crowd in front of him, clapping and calling his name. Below the picture, he wrote, "Remember when I said I was shouting into a void? I think I found the exit." That's the power of relaxed manifestation. It's not magic. It's not delusion. It's clarity, focus, presence, and trust. In today's episode, I'll walk you through 10 powerful ways to relax and manifest the life you truly want. Not just in your mind, but in your lived reality. We'll draw on the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy and blend it with practical tools from modern psychology and mindfulness. So if you're feeling tired of chasing and ready to start aligning, take a breath, settle in, because this is where it begins, the journey back to your inner power. So let's begin at the very center of it all, the one place that creates your reality moment by moment, your mind. Part 1. Harness the power of your mind. Let's begin with one of the most overlooked yet most powerful forces in your life, your own mind. Now that might sound obvious, but take a moment to really sit with this. Every thought you have is shaping something, a belief, a behavior, a direction, even a mood. Your mind isn't just where ideas live, it's where reality starts. Think of your mind like a garden. Every thought you allow to take root is a seed. Positive thoughts? They're seeds of clarity, possibility, and quiet confidence. But the negative ones, the self-doubt, the fear, the old stories that say you can't or you're not enough, they grow too. And without realizing it, you can end up cultivating a garden full of weeds. And here's the truth many people miss. You don't need to control every thought. You just need to become conscious of the ones you're feeding. So how do we begin to harness the mind without being overwhelmed by it? Two practices changed everything for me: mindfulness, meditation, and affirmations. And no, you don't have to sit cross-legged on a mountain or chant in Sanskrit for hours. That's not what this is about. Let's start with mindfulness. In the most simple form, mindfulness is about pausing. Pausing long enough to notice what's happening inside you, not just around you. It's taking a breath between the noise of the world and your own reaction. It's watching a thought rise up, like a cloud across the sky, and letting it pass without clinging to it. And the beauty of this, you can do it anywhere, while sipping coffee, sitting at a red light, standing in the shower. You don't need silence, you just need a moment. Because the more often you return to yourself, to your breath, your body, your awareness, the more you begin to see that you are not your thoughts. You're the space behind them, and in that space lies your power. Now, affirmations work hand in hand with that space. Think of affirmations as the new seeds you plant in your mental garden. When you say, I am calm, I am capable, or I am open to abundance, you're not just making nice sounding statements. You're reprogramming your internal dialogue, the quiet voice that guides your choices when no one's watching. And yes, at first it can feel awkward, even silly, but repetition matters. Just like brushing your teeth, you don't do it once and expect perfect health. You do it daily because it reinforces the foundation. What you think, you start to become. What you repeat, you begin to believe. And what you believe, you begin to live. The Buddha once said, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. That isn't poetry. That's neuroscience. That's energy. That's real. So today I invite you to pause, to plant better seeds, to choose even one thought that supports the life you want, and to breathe into it like it already belongs to you. Over time, you don't just respond better. You live better, more grounded, more open, more alive. So, what kind of garden will you grow? Once you begin to master the mind, the next challenge is this: learning to let go. Because sometimes trying to control everything is exactly what blocks your flow. Part 2, go with the flow. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever tried so hard to control every detail of your life, only to feel more exhausted, anxious, and frustrated in the end? We all have. We cling to our plans, our timelines, our expectations, thinking that if we just hold on tighter, everything will fall into place. But what if the peace we're looking for doesn't come from control? What if it comes from letting go? Imagine for a moment that life is like sailing. You can choose the direction. You can raise your sails. You can study the map. But you can't control the wind. You can't command the tides. You can't stop the storms from rolling in. And here's the secret: you don't need to, because the art of sailing isn't about forcing the sea, it's about adjusting your sails. This is what the Stoics understood so well. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, put it simply: don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and your life will flow well. It's not passive, it's not giving up. It's trusting the current instead of fighting it. Let me share something with you. There was a season in my life where I kept trying to force clarity. I was chasing a goal that just wouldn't click, no matter how much I planned, pushed, or prayed. Every setback felt like failure. Every delay felt like a sign that I wasn't good enough, fast enough, strong enough. Then one day, almost out of exhaustion, I stopped fighting. I stepped back. I stopped demanding answers. I let go of the timeline in my head, and slowly space opened up. Ideas started flowing. People showed up. And I realized clarity doesn't come from control. It comes from presence, from listening, from surrendering to the process. So how do you practice going with the flow? Start by noticing where you're gripping too tightly. Where are you trying to force outcomes? Are you checking your phone constantly for a reply? Overanalyzing a conversation? Trying to micromanage a result that's out of your hands? In those moments, pause, breathe, remind yourself, I don't need to control everything to move forward. Just like the sailor who trusts the wind, you too can trust life's timing. Yes, you set your goals. Yes, you show up with intention. But then you release your expectations. It's like planting a garden. You till the soil, you water the seeds, you do your part. But you don't sit there shouting at the sprouts to grow. You trust nature. You let the process unfold. And that's what life asks of us too. Effort with surrender, action with peace, direction with flexibility. Because often the most beautiful outcomes don't arrive when you're forcing things into place. They arrive when you let life breathe, when you create space for surprise, for grace, for timing that's wiser than yours. So today, loosen your grip, go with the flow, and trust that even if the path looks different than you imagined, it might be leading you somewhere even better. And when you release the grip of control, something amazing happens. Gratitude begins to bloom. And that's where real magnetism begins. Part 3, Manifest with Gratitude. Let's take a quiet pause here and talk about something simple yet deeply powerful. Gratitude. We often think of gratitude as a polite response, something we express after receiving something, a gift, a compliment, a gesture. But what if gratitude wasn't just a reaction, but a doorway? What if gratitude is the way we tell the universe, I see what I have, and I'm ready to hold more? You see, gratitude isn't just about being thankful. It's about being available. When you focus on what's already good in your life, no matter how small, you create a kind of emotional openness. It's like you're telling life, I recognize the beauty already here, and I'm willing to receive more of it. Think of it like this. Imagine you're throwing a dinner party. Some guests walk in, look around, and say nothing. Others show up with warmth in their eyes, appreciation in their words, and maybe even a small thank you note in hand. Which guest would you feel more drawn to invite again? Gratitude works the same way with the universe. When we acknowledge and celebrate the blessings already present, however modest, we invite more to come in. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Some of the most transformative practices are also the simplest. Try gratitude journaling. Every morning or night, write down 3 things, just 3, that you're truly thankful for. Not just the big wins, but the quiet details, the warmth of your coffee, the smile from a stranger, the fact that you made it through another hard day. Write thank you notes to people you love, or to someone you haven't spoken to in a while, or even to yourself. You'd be amazed at what shifts inside you when you recognize your own growth. Practice acts of kindness. Buy someone's coffee, offer a compliment, lend a hand. When you give with presence and intention, you multiply the energy of gratitude, not just for them, but for yourself too. Personally, one of the most healing things I've done during difficult seasons is to sit in silence and whisper, thank you, even when I didn't feel like it. Not out of denial, but out of hope. Gratitude didn't erase the pain, but it gave me perspective. It reminded me that even in brokenness, there was still light, still breath, still possibility. And that's what makes gratitude such a powerful tool for manifestation. Because when you focus on what's already good, your brain begins to filter your reality differently. You start to notice opportunities you missed before. You feel more energized, more receptive, more inspired. And suddenly, the life you're trying to create feels closer because you've already started living parts of it. As Rumi beautifully said, wear gratitude like a cloak, and it will feed every corner of your life. So today, I invite you to shift your focus, not just on what's missing, but on what's already quietly working, on what's quietly enough, not because your dreams don't matter, but because gratitude builds the foundation strong enough to hold them. And remember, you don't have to wait for big blessings to feel grateful. Sometimes it's the quietest moments that contain the most magic. Gratitude aligns your energy, but how do we channel that energy into something powerful? That's where the law of attraction quietly steps in. Part 4, use the power of attraction. Let's talk about something subtle but deeply transformative, the energy you carry. You may have heard the phrase, like attracts like. It's simple, but don't mistake that simplicity for emptiness, because this idea holds a quiet truth about how your inner world shapes your outer life. Here's what it really means. The emotional energy you lead with, your thoughts, your beliefs, your dominant feelings, those vibrations are not invisible to life. They echo, they ripple, and often they return to you in the form of people, events, or patterns. Have you ever noticed how, when you're in a good mood, truly grounded, peaceful, things just seem to flow? You run into someone who makes your day. An opportunity pops up out of nowhere. The traffic lights are all green. And then on other days, you wake up anxious, irritated, rushed. Suddenly, everything feels off. Your coffee spills. You misplace your keys. You attract tension, and it multiplies. That's not coincidence. That's resonance. We're not talking about magical thinking here. We're talking about alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are in harmony with your values and your vision, you become magnetic, not in a mystical way, but in a focused, open, receptive way. And this is where visualization becomes powerful. Visualization isn't about daydreaming. It's about mentally rehearsing who you want to become and what you want to experience. So clearly, so vividly, that your mind begins to treat it as possible, and your behavior starts to shift in that direction. Picture this. You're a runner training for a marathon. Before race day, you don't just practice physically. You see yourself crossing the finish line. You imagine the cheering crowd, the feeling of your feet pounding the pavement, the sweat, the breath, the joy. This mental movie sets a tone for your body to follow. Now apply that to your life. What do you want to manifest? Is it a healthier body, a meaningful relationship, a sense of peace that isn't so easily shaken? Close your eyes and feel it now, not someday. Now, what does it feel like to live that life? How would you walk, speak, wake up in the morning? This emotional rehearsal trains your brain to focus on what serves you and filter out what doesn't. It tunes your thoughts to a frequency that's congruent with what you truly desire. As the Buddha said, what you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. So be mindful of the emotional state you dwell in, not just moment to moment, but habitually. Are you operating from scarcity or abundance? From fear or from trust? You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to pretend. But you do have the power to return to center, to breathe, to realign, to adjust. The power of attraction isn't about controlling the world. It's about becoming the version of you that's naturally drawn to the things you seek. and open enough to receive them when they arrive. So today, ask yourself gently, what am I attracting with the way I think, feel, and show up? And is it time to change the signal? Attraction begins inside, but abundance isn't always loud. It hides in the present moment if we're mindful enough to notice it. Part 5. Be mindful of abundance. Let's slow down for a moment because sometimes in the chase for a better life, we forget just how much we already have. Not just materially, but emotionally, spiritually, relationally. And the truth is, abundance is not always something you create. Sometimes it's something you learn to notice. We live in a world that moves fast, really fast. We're constantly being told to want more, do more, be more. And in that endless striving, we can easily become blind to the quiet richness already present in our lives. Have you ever been so busy thinking about what's next that you completely miss the beauty of what's now? Maybe you were sitting at a cafe, lost in your to-do list while the sunlight poured across your table like golden silk. Maybe your child or your partner said something soft and kind, but your mind was too far away to hear it. Or maybe you were walking through nature, but never really saw the sky. That's where mindfulness changes everything. Mindfulness is the practice of coming back to the moment you're actually living in, not the one you're replaying from the past or projecting into the future. It's the quiet decision to stop scrolling, stop comparing, stop overthinking, and simply notice. Because when you really look around, abundance is everywhere. In the breath that still moves through you, in the warm water that greets you in the shower, in the friend who texted you just checking in the body that carries you even on the hard days. You don't need a grand spiritual awakening to experience abundance. You just need to be present enough to see what's already unfolding around you. Thich Nhat Hanh once wrote, "The present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it." That quote changed the way I experience my days, because presence doesn't just help you feel good, it helps you receive more. The more grounded you are in now, the more open you become to the subtle nudges of life, the synchronicities, the conversations, the gut feelings that guide you towards something meaningful. It's like tuning an old radio. When you slow down and listen, you find the frequency that was always there. You just weren't dialed in. So how do we practice this? It can be simple. Savor your morning coffee. Don't gulp it while checking emails. Walk without your phone for 5 minutes. Just listen to the wind. Look someone in the eye when they speak. Really see them. Keep a short abundance journal and write down one small thing each day you might have otherwise missed. These aren't spiritual cliches. They're anchors. They keep you rooted in a life that already contains more than enough beauty and meaning to nourish you, if you'll allow yourself to see it. So today I invite you to pause, to breathe, to look again at the ordinary moments, as if they were sacred, because maybe, just maybe, they are. And while mindfulness helps you stay present during the day, there's another gateway working for you every night. Sleep, the silent force behind deep transformation. Part 6. Tap into the power of sleep. Let's talk about something that most people overlook on their journey of growth and manifestation. Sleep. Yes, sleep. In a world that glorifies the hustle, we often treat rest as a reward, or worse, a weakness. We stay up late, scrolling, working, worrying. And then we wonder why our minds feel heavy and our dreams feel far away. But here's the truth. Sleep isn't a pause in your progress. It's part of the process. It's the moment when your subconscious mind, the deeper, quieter part of you, goes to work. All day long, your conscious mind is busy, planning, analyzing, reacting. But when you sleep, that surface layer relaxes and something sacred happens underneath. Your subconscious begins sorting, filtering, connecting. It's where memories get stored, healing begins, and your deepest intentions take root. It's no coincidence that some of your most creative ideas arrive the moment you wake up, or that a problem you wrestled with the day before suddenly feels lighter. That's not magic. That's the power of your resting mind. Carl Jung once wrote, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." And sleep, real, intentional, soul-nourishing sleep, is one of the ways we start looking inward. So how do we tap into this natural power? It begins with your evening rhythm. Instead of collapsing into bed at the end of an overstimulated day, create a small ritual. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It just needs to be yours. Maybe it's dimming the lights, taking a warm shower, or playing soft music. Maybe it's journaling a few thoughts or reading something that centers you. And here's a powerful practice. Set your intention before you sleep, not in a forced way, not with pressure or expectation, just gently. It can be as simple as a whispered sentence. May I wake up with clarity. Let my mind process peace tonight. I trust my subconscious to align me with what I seek. You can also visualize. See yourself already living in the energy of what you desire. Calm, healthy, connected. Let that image linger in your heart as you drift into sleep. Because while you rest, that image begins to sink deeper. It becomes more than an idea. It becomes a frequency. And over time, that frequency shapes how you show up, quietly guiding your actions, your choices, your mindset. Personally, some of the most surprising breakthroughs in my life didn't happen during planning sessions or to-do lists. They happened after nights of real intentional rest, when I finally let go of the grip and let my deeper self speak. So tonight, I invite you to see sleep differently, not as escape, not as luxury, but as a spiritual recalibration, a reset for your mind, body, and soul. Protect it, honor it, let it work for you. Because when you learn to rest deeply, you don't just wake up refreshed, you wake up aligned. Just as sleep restores your mind, your mornings set the tone. So let's talk about how to begin each day with powerful intention. Part 7, start your day with manifesting. There's something quietly sacred about the early morning hours. Before the world starts pulling at your attention, before the emails, the notifications, the news, there's this brief open space, a window, a pause, a clean slate, and how you use it, how you show up for those first few minutes can quietly shape everything that follows. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher emperor, once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." What if we actually lived like that? What if instead of rushing into the day, we started by remembering? We woke up? Not everyone did. This perspective shifts everything. Your morning doesn't have to be long or elaborate. You don't need to become a 5 a.m. monk or follow a 20-step routine, but you do need something, a ritual to anchor you, to set the tone for your mind, your body, and your energy. For some, it might be journaling, a simple practice of writing down your thoughts, clearing mental clutter, or jotting 3 intentions for the day. It doesn't have to be profound. It just has to be honest. For others, it's quiet meditation. 5 minutes, eyes closed, breathing in, breathing out, not to do anything, just to be, just to remind yourself, I am here, I am grounded, I am awake. You might use affirmations, not hollow phrases, but real empowering reminders of who you're becoming. Today I move with purpose. I meet challenges with calm. I trust myself. These little rituals act like tuning your instrument before the concert of your day begins. They don't make the day perfect, but they make you more attuned, more present, more intentional. Let me share something with you. There was a time when I woke up with anxiety every morning. Before I even got out of bed, my thoughts were racing. So I tried something simple. Each morning, before grabbing my phone, I asked myself one question. How do I want to feel today? Not what do I need to get done, not who do I need to prove myself to. Just, how do I want to feel? That question changed me. It gave me power back. Because when you begin with intention, the world doesn't get to choose your energy for you. You choose it first. So ask yourself, what's one simple thing you can do tomorrow morning to reconnect with your purpose, to remember who you are before the noise begins? It could be lighting a candle, stretching your body, whispering a prayer, standing by the window and just watching the light shift. Whatever it is, protect that space. Because manifestation doesn't just happen in big breakthroughs. It happens in quiet daily alignment. And the morning is your most powerful chance to align. So tomorrow, before the world reaches for you, reach for yourself first. Take a breath, set your tone, and walk into the day like it's a privilege to be alive. Because it is. Setting intentions is powerful, but to truly bring them to life, you need to see them clearly, vividly. That's the art of visualization. Part 8. Visualize your goals. Let's talk about a simple practice that can quietly reshape your reality, visualization. Now, you've probably heard the word before, maybe in the context of athletes preparing for a big game or high performers talking about their morning routines. But visualization isn't just for Olympians or CEOs. It's for you. It's for anyone who's ready to become an active participant in the life they're creating. Think of visualization as creating a mental blueprint. Before anything is built in the outer world, it must first be designed in the inner one. Your mind is the architect. Your beliefs are the foundation. And your imagination? That's the sketch pad. You see, the mind doesn't always distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. That's why when you picture something with enough detail and emotion, your brain starts forming new pathways, new associations, new habits, new energy. Napoleon Hill once said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." And that's not just a motivational quote, it's a neuroscience truth. Here's how to make it real. Start by getting still, close your eyes, breathe deeply, then see yourself living the life you desire. Not vaguely, clearly, specifically. Use all your senses. Let's say you want to build a life of freedom. Don't just picture the word freedom. Feel it. Where are you waking up? What does the light look like as it filters through your window? What sounds are in the background? What kind of clothes are you wearing? How do your shoulders feel? Light, relaxed, open? Or maybe it's a goal around health. Can you imagine the taste of nourishing food you've made for yourself? The energy pulsing through your body as you move? The way it feels to look in the mirror and see someone who honors themselves? Or a relationship. Can you feel the warmth in the room as you laugh with someone you trust? Can you hear the tone of their voice? Feel the calm in your breath? Sense the safety in your chest? The more real your mental movie becomes, the more your subconscious accepts it as possible and begins aligning your behavior to meet it. And here's the thing, you don't need to visualize for hours. Even 2 to 5 minutes a day is powerful if you do it with presence. Personally, I started visualizing before every major turning point in my life. Not to predict the future, but to prepare myself emotionally to meet it. And time after time, those visualizations didn't just inspire me, they guided my next steps. They gave me direction when logic fell short. They gave me calm when I could have panicked. Because when you've already seen yourself walk through the door, you stop hesitating when the handle appears. So the question is, what do you want to see more of in your life? And are you willing to let your imagination rehearse it before it becomes real? Visualization isn't about control, it's about connection to your vision, to your emotions, to your potential. So today, close your eyes and see it, feel it, walk through it in your mind. Let it become part of you until one day it is. And as you hold that vision in your mind, remember, the breath is what grounds you in it. Breathing isn't just physical, it's energetic creation. Part 9. Breathe with purpose. Let's take a moment right now and just breathe. Not to rush through it, not to move on quickly, but to truly arrive here with yourself. Because your breath, this simple, quiet, constant rhythm, isn't just keeping you alive. It's communicating with every part of your being. It's the invisible thread connecting your conscious awareness to your subconscious power. And yet, how often do we forget to pay attention to it? We hold our breath in traffic. We shallow breathe through hard conversations. We sigh without knowing why. And somewhere in that disconnection, we lose touch with the very thing that grounds us. Here's the truth. Your breath is not just a biological function. It's a spiritual tool, a built-in compass, a reset button you can access anytime, anywhere, without needing anything outside of you. When you're overwhelmed, anxious, scattered, you don't need to escape. You need to return. And the most direct way to do that is through your breath. There's a reason ancient traditions, Stoic, Yogic, Taoist, and beyond, place such reverence on breathing. Because when we breathe with intention, we don't just calm our nervous system, we awaken our clarity, our creativity, our presence. One technique I found especially helpful is called box breathing. It's simple. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold again for 4. Repeat a few cycles. You'll feel the shift. Your body softens. Your mind steadies. You come back home. Another method is alternate nostril breathing, a calming practice that helps balance the brain's hemispheres. It's often used in meditation for clarity and emotional equilibrium. You gently close one nostril, inhale through the other, switch sides, and repeat. It's rhythm over rush, intention over impulse. But even without technique, your breath alone, when noticed and honored, can change your inner state. Try this. Next time you're about to send a reactive email, or raise your voice, or spiral into overthinking, pause. Take one full, deep breath. Ask yourself, what would I do if I responded from peace instead of panic? Often the answer reveals itself in the space the breath creates. Personally, breathing with purpose has pulled me out of countless moments of emotional noise. It reminds me that I don't have to figure everything out in the mind. I can return to the body. I can trust that slowing down doesn't mean falling behind. It means finding my way with more intention. As Descartes might say if he lived in our times, I breathe, therefore I create. So today I invite you to see your breath not as background noise, but as your ally, your anchor, your bridge to presence. You don't need perfect words. You don't need a plan. Just one conscious inhale and one full exhale. That alone can begin a shift. Breathe with purpose and let that breath guide you back to who you already are. Calm, capable, connected. Sometimes the most powerful insights come not through doing, but through listening. and that begins in silence. Part 10. Embrace silence and connection. Let's talk about something most of us rarely make time for anymore. Silence. Real silence. Not just the absence of noise, but the presence of stillness. A space where the world stops whispering what it wants from you, and you start hearing what your soul has been trying to say. In today's world, silence is almost extinct. We fill every gap with podcasts, notifications, background music, even when we're just brushing our teeth or walking to the car. But when was the last time you simply sat with yourself and listened? The philosopher-poet Rumi once said, "Silence is the language of God. All else is poor translation." And I believe that, because in silence something shifts, something sacred opens. You move beyond thought into awareness. You stop performing and start remembering. Silence is not empty. It's where your truest self lives. But here's the thing. Silence can be uncomfortable, especially at first. We've been conditioned to believe that stillness is unproductive, even lazy. But stillness is not the opposite of progress. It's where clarity is born. When you embrace silence, you begin to reconnect with your inner compass, your intuition, your deeper sense of meaning. So how do you make space for that? Start with a few minutes of meditation, not to empty your mind, but simply to observe it. Let the thoughts come and go like clouds. Don't chase them. Don't judge them. Just breathe and be. Take walks in nature without your phone. Let your senses wake up. Feel the air. Watch how the trees move. Let the natural rhythm of the earth bring you back to the present. Try reflective journaling. Ask yourself questions like, what am I avoiding? What do I need right now? What does my heart already know? Write without pressure and let your thoughts pour out like water. I can tell you from personal experience, some of the most important decisions I've made in my life didn't come from long lists or advice from others. They came in the quiet, in the moments I stopped searching for the answer and just listened. Because silence is a portal. It reconnects you not just with your goals, but with your why. Not just with the world, but with your place within it. And when you build a relationship with silence, something beautiful happens. You begin to trust yourself again. You hear the quiet yes, the subtle number, the intuitive pull that guides you without fanfare or drama. So today, let this be your invitation. Don't run from the quiet. Run to it. Because in a world that's constantly shouting, the most revolutionary thing you can do is listen. Turn down the volume. Come back home. And hear what's been waiting for you all along. So now you've seen the full picture. These practices aren't random. They're deeply connected. And together they guide you toward the life you were meant to live. The real power behind manifestation. So, after all we've explored together, here's the truth I hope lands in your heart. Manifestation isn't magic. It's not a spell or a shortcut or a way to wish your way into a perfect life. It's deeper than that. It's the quiet art of alignment, when your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions begin to move in the same direction. And like anything worth building, it requires patience, presence, gratitude, and a willingness to keep showing up for yourself, even on the days it feels like nothing is changing. You see, the life you want to create isn't waiting out there in some far-off future. It begins in small, invisible moments. Like the way you speak to yourself when no one's listening, the breath you return to instead of the panic, the way you choose presence over distraction, kindness over pressure, trust over control. It's these subtle shifts, practiced consistently, that become transformation. And maybe the most important truth of all is this. You already hold the power, not because someone gave it to you, but because it was always there. You were born with the ability to choose your focus, to align your energy, and to create a life filled with joy, peace, and meaning from the inside out. No guru can hand that to you. No external force can make it happen for you. But if you're willing to begin, willing to reconnect with your mind, your breath, your stillness, your truth, then every single day becomes part of that creation. So let this be your gentle reminder. The journey doesn't begin when everything is perfect. It begins now, with this breath, with this moment of clarity, with one small step in the direction of who you were always meant to be. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. So take what spoke to you in this video, whether it was a lesson, a practice, or a simple sentence, and carry it with you. And if something inside you feels ready, then begin. Your life is listening. If this video stirred something in you, please consider subscribing. Let's keep growing together.